Hello there, and welcome to another video. My therapist said
I can't, you're getting deep. You're getting too deep. I like you. Like, chill out. Let's not get too deep now.
I should spend less time stressing and worrying and spend more time in the things that I love to do. And the things that I love doing is content creating and also watching movies and videos. So that's what we're going to start doing. I've got a LETTERBOXD account. I will put it in the description so you can go ahead and have a check out what I'm going to watch, what I have watched, and what I do rate things. But from now on, I'm going to go through many different movies I've watched and talk about it, talk about how it truly feels. We break down that movies isn't just, 2 hours on the screen, but it's literal art that is on your screen. Also, I'll be rewatching some of the classics in my life and coming back with a full review and a full breakdown of what happens in the movies, as well as watching new movies and giving a full down breakdown because I love movies. You might know me as 7'3" after 72.
Take it down. Take it down. We need it gone. Take it down. That doesn't represent me or what we need to be doing.
I'm going to go through my LETTERBOXD and I'm going to talk about probably 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 of the movies that I really love, have a lot of passion about, that is on my already watch list. So we're going to go to the end now. Bye, get out my face. So we are here. This is my LETTERBOXD. Of course it says 7'3". Of course my name is going to be remnants of me. Now you can see on my list, you can probably see some flipping treacles, but what we're going to start is with Conclave. In this movie, the Pope does die. This happens off screen just before, but this is kind of, I guess, the remnants of the whole story. Is the process of, I guess, Rome and the Vatican City and kind of the procedures that they're going to go from having no Pope to having a Pope. So this means various of campaigns from various different popes and kind of putting, not popes but archbishops, but to be popes basically, putting their kind of case on the scene on what they would add as a pope, and everybody else, the other archbishops and normal bishops, just kind of taking in what they're saying, taking in the campaigns and voting for who they think. Of course, it's basically, the best way to think about this is like a presidential election.
But wait! There's more!
This is where it really gets really spicy, because to become a pope, you have to get, I believe it's a majority of 75 votes, if I'm correct. So you basically have to get almost 80% of the archbishops in the room to vote for you. So just a plethora of the characters kind of have really good reasons why they should be the pope, and almost if it's charisma, almost is what they believe in, almost is just the way they walk and step. A lot of them are quite fishy, and a lot of them do very shady things in the back. If you've watched Dexter, you would know of the Trinity Killer. The Trinity Killer is in this show, and oh my flipping days, his performance is flipping top notch. And why I say this, because when I watched Trinity Killer, there was times where I would watch it and I'd be like, okay, cool, I know he's the killer. I've literally witnessed this guy kill a mother, a child, and also the father, but the way he's acting is truly convincing me maybe he's not the killer. Maybe he has an evil twin sister like Pretty Little Liars. Spencer. In this show, he also has this kind of weird qualmy thing where he is a kind of a good candidate to become the Pope, but he's really shady, and he was involved in a lot of the shadiness that was going on when the Pope was still alive and the Pope knew. And of course that kind of unravels in the story. Of course, I'm not going to spoil what happens in Conclave because I'll probably talk about that in a whole video. Breathtaking. What I really love about Conclave is how they take proper care with the story. There's barely any soundtrack, there's barely any noises, and when of course I was recommended to watch this video by one of my amazing Avengers, I was expecting something completely different. And when I came onto stream the day after I watched the video, I asked, did you guys hear the subtle heavy breathing throughout the whole movie? And it was because the lack of soundtrack, it really humanizes the movie and almost convinces the watcher slash reader slash whatever it is the actual feelings that's going on in this actual movie. Because throughout this movie, you're in the main character's kind of position. His name is Cardinal Lawrence, and almost, I don't think it's confirmed, but I do believe this heavy breathing was him, because this whole movie, that this man did not have 1 second to sit down and rest, because there was about 3 or 4 people who at different sections of the movie almost was like in the railings to become the Pope, but then he would find out something shady. He had to break his own honor, his own rules that he has set place to discover the truth about the Pope and his legitimacy, and it was very breathtaking. You can tell they took such a precise care with the story, such a precise touch and feel with how they wanted the story to go. It was like they almost left loose ends, but wrapped it away ever so quickly. Reference the way they did it. It's almost like black people's hair, right? When you get braids, it's loose, but then the person who's doing your hair quickly ties it up and makes it look nice, clean, and presentable. That's almost how this movie felt. The story was exponentially delivered. The characters and the actors did an amazing job. Each and every character that was almost a focal point, especially the main person at the end, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll get to that in the fourth thing because it's kind of a spoiler, was done amazingly. Each character, they kind of were fighting each other at times without throwing a punch, and I think I love that so much throughout the whole of Conclave. But yes, that is it with Conclave. Conclave, as of right now, only watching it the first time, I would rate it a solid 9 out of 10. Honestly, for me, it's in my top 10 movies I've watched of my whole life, but it may be edging to top 5. I don't know. I need to rewatch it and see and proper break it down on the rewatch. But for me personally, especially, I'm taking away favorite movies and just best movies, because if it's favorite movies, I got to put Tangled in there, got to put Cars in there, but actual best movies, that's actually, you can feel the directional element it was going in. Conclave is definitely top 10, but I digress. On to the next one. Now, the next one is I Am Legend. When I was younger, up until the age of me being 15, I Am Legend was not only one of my favorite movies, but Will Smith was my favorite actor. I will always stand on this kind of pedestal that when it comes in eras of actors, when we're looking at the best actors, young Will Smith has to be in top 5. And for me, this performance, Pursuit of Happiness, which I haven't watched yet, which we will get to watch hopefully soon, even the one with the aliens coming, I forgot what it was called, not Men in Black, but I think Independence Day, of course Men in Black, classic, of course Bad Boys, those are what put him on the pedestal as the greatest actor. I even need to talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, I Am Legend is about basically a movie which kind of focal point of, I guess, the end of human civilization, but the focal point being America. There was kind of like a scientific experiment that went on. I was kind of testing humans and stuff by a crazy mad scientist and stuff that kind of turned people into zombies, and it kind of, I guess, had an outbreak. People were turning into zombies by being bit or being captured, or these people were actually killing people. On top of this, the people in New York, if I'm correct, or just America in general, would have to escape. The most recent events in the movie takes place on the last day of Earth. This basically means that the day of the outbreak. This, we follow the main character being Robert Neville, which of course is Will Smith's actor, where he's rushing with his kid and his baby mums to get them out of the country. But he is a mad scientist. He is intellectual genius, so he's of course encouraged to stay back. Whilst him staying back, he stays back to basically dedicate his life to investigate what happened and if he can ever reverse it. But the truth is, it's almost, how can I relate this movie to something else that's a bit more mainstream, maybe the background adjacent of Will Smith's amazing acting skill. It felt like the purpose of this movie and the purpose of the main character and what he was trying to do was constantly running in kind of an office that had no end. In many instances of this movie, we see things that almost give us hope and may even give the main character hope, but it's immediately shut down. For 2 examples, character, he starts to lose his mind, so he starts to put dolls around the city to kind of, I guess, simulate real humans going by him, doing his daily things, going to the shop and things like that. They're not real. He gives them names, he knows them personally and everything, but they're not real. One day at the start of the movie, he realizes that one of these dolls are not in the shop. So he goes around looking for this doll, and he sees it at the top of, I guess, at the top of a hill, or maybe at the top of a motorway. It depends on the perception. It moves. The really important thing, and I don't feel like it was ever answered about what that scene really was, because this almost made us think that was another human or that was another creature, because even its head moves for a second in our perception. Perception is really important in this movie, because this whole movie we're looking through Robert Neville's perception, a mad scientist that has stayed back in New York to kind of investigate this phenomenon. He loses his mind because he hasn't had human interaction in years. We get closer and then we realize that there was a trap there, and he's taken and he's basically captured by the zombies. But digress again, I'm not going to talk about it fully because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. What is interesting to take away from this, and why kind of this movie is one of my favorite all time, and why I think Will Smith, this is the movie that put Will Smith on the map, is because just that scene, you can interpret it in 2 ways. Also, the directors and script writers did a phenomenal job. In this scene, we assume that is the zombies that take the doll and move it there and also put the trap down. But what if I tell you it might not have been that? It could have been Will Smith's character in itself. It is clear. The scene prior, it clearly demonstrates that he's lost his mind. He has no recollection on what is actually going on, what is real and what is fake. And even if he knows what is fake, he's trying to make it real so he doesn't feel like his life is fake, to kind of restrain his mind. So a theory that does speculate, and a theory that I kind of do support just for the complexities of this story, is that Will Smith's character took the doll, put it at the car the day before, week before, to kind of, I guess, draw in the zombies in an intellectual way and put the trap there to capture them when they did. But he fully forgot this because he's so submersed in this fake reality and fake story he has given himself to keep himself sane, to the point that he's forgot what he has done in his own intellectual space, if you get what I mean, to the point that he saw it, and not even that it was a zombie that put it there, but that doll went over there and walked there, because his first instant was he shouted, "Get down! Get down! Oh, this is hard!" And then he shot the zombie's head. And then once he got closer and closer, he got hit in the trap. So I think it's one or two things, and especially when the zombies finally got to him, it wasn't like we got him. Also, what's very interesting about this movie is two things. The zombies don't like the sun, which is few things. The zombies don't like the sun, which is really interesting because it means that there's only a section in the day where they can come out, also meaning there's only a section in the day where the main character come out, also meaning that these two humans need to coexist in the same place at different times, which constantly in the movie plays on that, and there's unfortunate lapse in the story, especially in the section I was just talking about. Also, these zombies become self-sentient. They understand that they're living. They're not just like Last of Us zombies where they're just brain dead moving corpse. These are actual sentient beings that can talk and interact and actually are human-like. So it puts that weird uncanny feeling on the watcher, on the reader, or whatever, even you just listening to me, it's going to give you almost that uncanny feeling. But yes, I think this is one of the best performances of Will Smith. But again, I'm not going to say too much, and we'll talk about that in a future video. Now, this is the last one, and this movie is honestly, it should have won so many Oscars. I don't know how many Oscars it has won, so I will check it after this. Now, before we get all the mad heads that come in here and say, oh, it's not a K-drama, it's a K-movie. I know, but I'm just saying to the whole media of just K-media in general, whether it's K-pop, K-drama, K-movie, just anything. This was my introduction. And when I tell you, this was the best introduction anybody could ever have. 2019, a movie called Parasite dropped, and this movie was a movie that kind of broke the normalities of what foreign media could be perceived, anything that's not the Western world. I'm going to tell you this, Parasite is a complex story. It basically kind of draws on the harsh realities of Korea, of it talking about the elites and the non-elites, the very poor, the poverty, and the rich. And the main character's main focus of the story is the poverty and the poor, and they are living in almost a terrible flat that is under like bunch of houses and is susceptible to flooding, which it did, and they kind of had to devise a plan to break in and enter to a rich house. I know it may sound very basic, but I'm just putting the basic term without giving you any spoilers. So throughout this movie, they kind of get their plan and devise it in. What I find so interesting about this movie, it's not about a poor family breaking into a rich family. It's about a different type of family, desperate enough to risk everything they have, which is nothing, to spend 2 days in the shoes of the rich. And I think it draws such an uncanny comparison to what actually happens in Korea, not even just Korea, in the rest of the world, how it's almost this glass ceiling effect. I will explain what glass ceiling is in a second. Glass ceiling is kind of this concept where the government or a boss or a manager would set this view of that you can reach the top, but you like just doing certain things, but in reality you can never really can, because there is systematic things put in place that will stop you from ever achieving it. For example, heavily taxes in school, or just the lack of jobs, or whatever it is, or just the place that you could be from, or the surname, or this societal and I guess traditional views that will stop you from actually viewing where that name comes from. Because if you was go to, I say, a really tall tower that they always have them glass floors, if you're sitting here and they tell you can get to the top, look through the glass ceiling, you can physically see it, but no matter how high you jump, you're never going to be able to get there because there's something in the way that you can't really perceive, but it's always there, but they're going to tell you it's not. And this is what this movie, in my opinion, really draws on. But in this movie, the poor win. But do they? It's very interesting. I really don't want to spoil what happens in this movie. I want to, again, leave it for the full review and the full breakdown, because there's so much that goes in. There's so much plot twist. There's so much complexities. And if I was to ever delve into it, number one, I'm never going to stop talking. And number two, I'm never going to stop talking. The way they break into this movie, they didn't break a single glass, they didn't break a single car, and they didn't pick a single lock. They broke into this house by convincing the people that live there that they was almost like family. So for example, there's 4 people. It's a nuclear family. So we got a mum, dad, and then we got a brother and a sister. The brother and sister work for the family in ways. They convince them to work. They kind of put things in place and remove people in those positions so they could work and be in that house 24/7. The mum and the dad also do the same thing, with the dad working as a chauffeur and the mum working inside the rich mum. So we got the brother working within the family, we got the sister being the tutor, we got the mum working with the other mum, and we got the dad working with the other dad. So everything is paired up and everything is nice. Wow, one thing I will say, leaving you with this movie had one of the most scariest scenes I've seen in all of movies, and that's because this is not supposed to be a scary movie, so you never expect it, and that's what makes you cherish it so much, is when unexpected becomes expected. And this movie really plays in your mind and really plays on the story, because the main characters are not good people, but they have to survive, and it really draws on that concept of the difference between morals and survival.
I don't really care about what you show me. Chasing, tell me why you chase me when I'm touring. Relaxing, with me while we kick it in the forest. Still texting, phone on D&D or what you call it. All of the bitches is fake. Inspire might need me a break. No need to say what you take.